Tokoloshe tribe, it is indeed Thursday, and we know that every Thursday we come on YouTube where we do a teaching focusing on a particular topic. And the format is basically that I introduce the topic, I speak on the topic, and then I open for Q&As. So even as we're listening, we're not asking questions. I'm gonna open, like half an hour or 20 minutes into the conversation. I'll open the line for people to ask questions of clarity, etc. So yes, today's topic is quite heavy, but let's see. People are coming in and joining in. Tribe as usual. Ubuntu lobo. It's our nature as Africans to greet when we come into a room or into a space, so we can actually, it's a way of announcing ourselves. And I would really love to know who people are and where they are tuning in from tonight, because the topic I'm unpacking, there's a lot of understanding and teachings that have happened in native African languages that I need to find English words in order for me to translate, so that no one is lost in the conversation. Because besides our African brothers and sisters in the diaspora, we also have different African languages, and some things might be in Nguni that I need to translate Kasetswana or Kasesotho. So please do your greetings so I can see the demographics of the tribe and where the tribe is tuning from. Welcome, Giho, Mesh, I see you, Tasha, Z, Amwing, Nandipa, Mandisi, Ntabeneng. Yes, so Kintotazana or Nkosazana. The names now are coming in fast. Thompson from Zambia, greetings, welcome. Fararai, yeah? Fararai from Zimbabwe, welcome. Lady Z from Cape Town, Maud from Johannesburg, Tasha Malinga. Tasha says I speak English. Well, Tasha, the teachings are 95% English. I would use vernacular there and then, just to get my brain to find the interpretation of what I'm trying to teach. So don't worry about losing out on the conversation. We've got Isaac from Mozambique. We've got Paul. We've got Charles Tobela. Charles, can I make the correct assumption that you are from Limpopo? We've got Melon joining from Kagiso. Hi, neighbor. Maho from east of Pretoria, Mamelodi East. We've got Manroba, Zoom, Sengwai, Nyamaish from KZN. We've got Diamond Robertson from the US. We've got Lady N from Freiberg. We've got Numbuso from Heidelberg. Mandisa from Springs. Wow, today there's a lot of the East people from the East Rand, the eastern part of Gauteng. Welcome. We've got Polisi from Cape Town. We've got Rose. Thank you, Rose, for saying you love the teachings. So great. Welcome. Also, we've got Gitumeti from Rustenburg. Yes. Janet from Botswana. Lorraine is from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. We've got General from Sweden. We talk from Sweden. Yes. We've got Cindy, Mzuvukile, Vusmuz Loyo, Port Elizabeth. We've got Chandiwe from Cosmos City, my neighbor from Cosmos City. Welcome. Komojo from Genfest. I want to wish you and then we've got Mulebuheng from Bloemfontein, Onias from Kaslo, Dimpo from Bosbeck. So we've got enough members to begin the conversation, tribe. So welcome and thank you so much for being loyal, tuning in every Thursday. Remember, they are saved, so this you share it with people that you feel like need to hear the message of tonight. And for those who are new on my channel, there's a lot of content. There's a lot of videos on different teachings in connection and in relation to African spirituality, including relationships, including money, including gifts, including a variety of topics. So we don't only focus here on Ubungoma, which is about, it's a type of an African spiritual gift, but we focus on a variety of topics. and what is the insight from the perspective of African spirituality. We also have content on Christianity and African spirituality. So for those who are still struggling and finding their way around the two worlds, there's a lot of information that is there where one can come through, learn. And this is also a great channel for you to introduce your family members who are new to African spirituality without giving them a life shock, but basically helping them, be learn and open themselves up into African spirituality, because we don't all, not all raised with the same backgrounds. And what I love about African spirituality is that it's not exclusive. Spirituality is not exclusive. It's not like this way or no way at all. It sees our path to connecting to divinity as many paths. And it also says that we connect through the divine, through the many paths, because sovereignty is our divine right that was given by by Umvelinqangi, by Uramasedi, by Mudimu, by Uzimo, by Umtali, by God. So welcome, tribe members. So today's topic, before I get into it, please note, what do they call it? Before they say the news where there's graphic details, please note that this might trigger people because of how I'm gonna explain how these spirits infest you into your physical space and into your body, and that's how they actually start to become destructive and render havoc into one's life. So please note that this might be quite disturbing, and that we will use words that are explicit to be descriptive, but it's not to hurt or harm anyone, but it's for the purposes of education and description. Hope that everybody has gotten clear. If you feel a little bit triggered because you might be realizing you're experiencing the things that you're experiencing because of what we are talking about, you can mute and go grab a glass of water, come back and rejuvenate. So what I teach on this channel is purely based on my experiences and my knowledge as an African spiritual healing practitioner who's trained in multiple modalities. I am trained as a sangoma, and I'm trained in different types of ubungoma as well. I'm trained as a life coach, as a heal your life teacher. I'm trained as a relationship coach, facilitator. Yes, so those hats, they do come in, but I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sibling, I'm many other things, and I'm a trainer as well. So I'm a gobela, meaning I train other sangomas and other, healers who have the callings that I've been trained in, that I've been initiated in, that I've got the initiation codes of. So I needed to set that tone that way. So today we are speaking about how do you know if you've been infested by egregores, siphoning, parasites, as parasitical spirits, basically. What we call them in Southern Africa, it will be called iSilwane, it will be called Tokoloshe. So I'm gonna go on those two most common ones and say to you what they are and how they actually differ, because how they actually infest and they attack you is slightly a little bit different. They might sound, they've got similarities, but they've got also distinctions. So let's start about iSilwane. The word iSilwane is derived from a Nguni word that means animal. So that means that when you've got iSilwane, whatever that infests you will infest you in an animalistic way, in a way that it becomes an animal. So we distinguish humans from animals, even though we are all part of the mammal group, because human beings are given a logic, that we've got a logical mind where we can apply, not that animals don't have a soul, but we also have a light body that's more present to the cognitive brain as well. So we are able to decipher between good and evil, wrong and right, whereas an animal goes on instinct. An animal just does what it feels it's important at that time. If a lion is hungry and it hasn't eaten, it wouldn't say, oh no, that's a baby. It will feast on whatever that is available as a meal, because it is driven by instinct and by survival. whereas we are driven by multiple needs, not only to survive, but to actually experience, because as spiritual beings who are having human experiences, so it means that we are here to be immersed in the human life. So in human life, we are going to encounter things that are here to help us in our evolvement, into our ascension as spirit beings who are having human experiences, because ultimately we are here to transcend from our human consciousness but into higher consciousness. So that is important for you to note. We've come to ascend from human consciousness to ascend to higher consciousness. So as we are having a human experience, is to live and experience life beyond the physical realm, to actually be in a state of what Christianity call heaven. Say, seek ye the kingdom of God, so that you can then experience the riches of the earth. So seeking the kingdom of God is basically seeking higher consciousness, the consciousness of Christ, the consciousness of Buddha. That type of consciousness is where we see ourselves as more than the flesh, where we see beyond the obvious, where we see at an astral level, so at a bigger, higher consciousness level. So then we are not animals, but we are part of the mammal groups, because we are then able to transcend, through a variation of initiations, processes. And life is an initiation process, because growing up is difficult. When you have to grow up and be independent, the challenges of knowing how to use your money, how to what goes where, how much you spend on things. Those type of things are part of our initiation processes of becoming better human beings. But also the life encounters and tragedies and misfortunes that we would experience are also there to help us elevate into higher consciousness, including relationships that we're finding ourselves in are part of helping us awaken to our higher consciousness. Mara Nandipa loves us always, every time. When she comes, she makes a donation. Thank you so much. People have asked, how do I purchase a super sticker? You just go on YouTube. You can only do that if you are tuning in from YouTube, and then you can say purchase super sticker. You can also purchase super chat. These are better for you to do and use when you want to ask your questions, because there's a lot of questions that come up on my screen and they go fast. So if you've done a super chat, your question will be prioritized. So these are the benefits. And thank you so kindly, because siyakhanyisa, meaning we are actually giving so we can receive. So these gifts of appreciation, I'm really appreciative of them. Thank you so much, Nandip. So as I was saying, in terms of our nature, right? Our true nature is spirit, but our nature is the programming, the environment, the education, the belief systems that we are raised in, starts to form our nature, which becomes part of our personalities, basically, because our temperament is like an innate nature of us. So when we are here, because there is experiences we need to encounter to grow. So some of those experiences are unpleasant, they are ugly, they are nasty, they are dark, they are evil, such as iSilwane Tokoloshe. So iSilwane, it's then would seen as kind of like the reptilians. So it's forceful, it's aggressive, it's imposing, it wants what it wants. So there's no consent in it, there is no even cohesion, there is no trying, but it's basically there to siphon. And what is it there to siphon? These reptilian spirits. So we call them reptilians because even in how they appear to us, it's like that. It doesn't mean that all reptiles are evil, but it's basically the shadow of the reptile, the sneaky, the one that sneaks upon you, the one that deceits you and deceives you into thinking it's something that it's not. So iSilwane, it's that it's also called an agregor spirit, because it's there to siphon, it's there to eat and feast on your life force. So your life force is basically your God's energy force that is present within you, because the higher or the fuller God's life force in us, then the greater we are able to navigate and negate such a situation. The more we have the we that's how we actually then become in tune with spiritual intelligence, because it's in the spirit where we are able to create. It's in the spirit where we birth ideas, where we birth life, where life comes from. It's in the spirit where things come to be. It's in spirit where things are healed. It's in spirit where disease ceases to exist. It's in spirit where we thrive, because we are spiritual beings. Hope Tribe members are following me here. So then aggregate spirits are the spirits that are not willing to go through the human evolution towards their own ascensions. They will then siphon. And they are entities. They're not even, you can't describe them as that, they are animals or they have, no, it's their nature is for survival. So they siphon for their own survival. And we think that these are just spirits that don't belong. They normally belong to human beings. They're people who harbor and own these spirits because they are not willing to see an organic flow of things. They're not willing to put in the seeds, water, prune, and then reap the fruits. They just want what they want at the time that they want. So these would be people who are always seeking instant gratification. When it comes to things, they want success now, they want marriage now, they want everything now. They feel somewhat a sense of entitlement. I'm talking about the people who then go and harbor these dark spirits. They would have those kind of personality traits. It's like, I want what I want. They're full of vengeance. They're very unforgiving, because when they feel like in their own action, they still can't get a reaction or traction in terms of the consequences they want to see to settle the score, then they resort to then grooming, siphoning spirits. Grooming is iSilwane nabo Tokoloshe. I'm still on the iSilwane, and then I'll get to the Tokoloshe right now. So that's the thing. You don't normally, the iSilwane, you would not see what it looks like when it comes through. You will actually feel its presence, but the presence already has a darkness around it. You will even, in the state where you are experiencing it, because it's hardly that you will see it in your awake state. You could see it in your half awake and half asleep, which is like kind of like an out of body experience, or when you are going through what we call sleep paralysis. But you will not see it in the state coming through, right? You will see it when part of your body is starting to relax and you are about to activate your spirit, your spirit, because when we are sleeping, our spirit is active, and it travels from different planes and different landscapes. And then there's things, when we remember the travels, then we say we have dreamt. Okay, so that's why, because remember, it's siphoning spiritual power. So when it's siphoning spiritual power, it's not just going to want to deal with you at your awakened state. It wants to deal with you when you are in between the two worlds, when you are in between the awakened or sleep state. That's why the dreams, when you see them, they will come through immediately when you close your eyes, or when you are in such a deep sleep. You feel like, I'm in such a deep sleep and I was about to rest, then there is a presence. So how the presence will come into your dream landscape, it will probably be you are in a room, or you are in a space, and there is this entity that looks larger than a human shadow. It looks bigger, it looks weird, it feels weird. So in the dream state, it would look and feel very uncomfortable. It will feel very unsafe, right? So it will also feel very threatening and dangerous and forceful. So it will force its way into your space, the physical space you might be sitting or sleeping in, and it will also try to force itself to have a physical, intimate relation with you. So izofuna ukulala now, basically. So it will want to come into your space, right? And remember, because when you are engaging with somebody sexually and intimately, you are not only exchanging physical things, but you are also exchanging energetic things, because your energy is your God's force energy, because it's coming into that interaction, because that's where it can siphon. And in the siphoning, because it tempers with your sacral and your solar plexus chakras, because in those two chakras, this is where things percolate. This is where we bake things. This is where we harbor life force. This is where ideas, ideas is like, I don't know if an idea in my, so this is where your life purpose is. This is where your healer templates are sitting at. So this is where your greatness is sitting at. So by going into that, and especially for women, because we know what we take in, we absorb. So when those siphoning spirits are coming in, iSilwane, they're coming purely to take what is in existence. And it happens a lot, and I have seen it recently, that a lot of people, abatwele, meaning people who then, groom and own these spiritual entities, they're no longer, it's no longer about just that, yeah, when somebody has those things, we'll see unexplainable deaths in the family. That's what we used to know, which still is, but it's not the nuance that is, there's a nuances that are emerging, and I'll speak to the nuances that are emerging, where we see people who become instant in their wealth outside winning the lottery, because gaining 60 million overnight will be through the lottery or through an inheritance, but that will still not be overnight, because there's a process to, inheriting your inheritance. But it's this wealth, and you could see these people who become quite extreme. I mean, we know people show off and dress up nicely and show us their assets, but these are people who are constantly wanting to show you what they have versus who they are, because that's how they also lure people into relations with them, so that they can continue siphoning. And they siphon, and be wary and be careful, spiritually gifted people, because this is how we've done a live with Jackie Pamotse, where she went into detail about some of these acts and rituals that would be performed on women who would be in relationship with men who are seen as wealthy, but they target younger women, naive, but they can target anyone basically, because they want the power force that you have, so it can work on their behalf while they basically prosper at somebody else's expense. They're not willing to do the hard work. They're not willing to go through the organic process of things. They just want success after success, because even with success comes failure. Even with growth comes, no growth. Even in joy comes disappointment, because things do exist in polarities. So they're not the ones who want to see the other side. They just want what they want, and they're going to do whatever it takes at whatever expense, including, do those iSilwane. However, iSilwane is not only groomed by, people out there seeking wealth, fame, success. There are also people within our families who are harboring those things, so that they can stop certain things that they know that once we've got them intact, we are bound to have a solid foundation that will set us up for greatness. So they use iSilwane as well to temper with people's relationships filled. So you would find that people have an iSilwane, they will also struggle to keep relationships. So these are some of the things. You'll struggle to keep relationship. You will have unexplainable, womb or private part pains, and you will start getting, awful smell things down there that you've thought maybe you've got an STI, but maybe you don't have it's not a sexually just transmitted diseases biologically, but it's a spiritually transmitted illness. So that's some of the signs that you could tell. So it's when you have a lot of unexplainable sexual dreams, and you actually wake up feeling like you've engaged in intercourse, but you have not. And the fact that that intercourse was forceful and aggressive, and you didn't feel any way that you were consenting in that dream state, you were actually, some of us don't dream, we are experiencing. Because remember, in dreams, you are traveling to the past, to the present. So you can be in the present, and there can be a spiritual attacks. So the spirits are there to attack, to take, destroy, and distract. Tribe, please let me know that you're following me. Remember to subscribe, put on the notification button, and please like. Subscribe and put your notification, even though you miss me on Instagram. But if you have a notification, the minute I go live, YouTube will notify you, and Facebook will do the same. So that's iSilwane. So it comes as a being and as an entity, and that entity can be in a reptilian form. It takes the format of that. It's not that. So these are, so it will take a entity of that, because probably when they were grooming it, they used the nature of a particular animal to take shape so it can be formed in the physical form in that way. But this is not to say animals, because we need to still be able, that's why I say respect nature, because we cannot, no matter what our totems are, wild animals do not belong into domestication. We cannot domesticate wild animals. Our domestication of wild animals as human beings is for profits and is for sinister things. It's never for the well-being of the animal. It's never. We can't be domesticating them. There's no way that in a house like this I would want to stay with a lion, because the lion needs to roam the wild. It is an animal that was born in the wild. It's not, it does, you can't keep a snake as a pet. No, guys. Whether agricultural siphoning spirits, no, we need to be able to understand and love them, then go where they're at, right? If you want to go, there are places where they try and emulate, and reenact a natural space. To go watch them on YouTube, watch them on National Geographic, because you are actually interfering with their own freedom. You are interfering with their nature, and then you nurture them to be something else that they're not. And that's disheartening, and that's harmful. So let's speak about Tokoloshe, right? Tokoloshe is which one we grew up knowing, guys. It's like we all grew up knowing which there's Itokoloshi. So for those who are in the diaspora, so what is Itokoloshi? It's kind of like a dwarf, um, like the stuff looking like creature, and it's the other word that is known in the West is a goblin, right? It's a goblin, uh, but that goblin, it's kind of like half human, half animal, and it normally looks like it looks like either a baboon, a monkey, or something like that, but it's very short. It's abnormally short, because there's no human being that can be that short. We do know that we have people who are born with dwarfism, but this is not the people we're talking about here. We're talking, please note, don't go out and start saying people like that. No, we're talking about the spirit of destruction, not the people and not the animals. So that dwarfism, so that one is to really disturb peace and happiness. So its intention mostly, it's sent out to actually destroy family systems. So normally it will be sent to a particular family to fragment, discard, and destroy that family system, because eventually it also that it gets to a dangerous place where actually people start dying, because it is in a way that aksekho umuzi ozovuka la ekhaya. So there will be no one post these existing people that will come. This family will not be carried on. This family will not, will not continue. I said we listen, we can make comments. Yeah, however, no questions yet. I'll come to the questions later. So just let's listen and we can make comments. Like you're saying, or is asking Shanice Savita, are you listening? And somebody says, we are following you, Coco. So that's what I'm asking for us to just, so I know that people are here by you making comments saying that, no, we're here, we're listening, this is interesting, or this is confusing, so yeah. So that's Tokoloshe, it's a dwarfism like, and we know that, I grew up in the 80s, there was a lot around Tokoloshe and stuff. And that would say that it would come, it's a mischievous, it's mischievous, right? It will steal things from the house, it will steal food, clothes, but it's stealing for a purpose, because it is stopping something. It becomes quite specific in its act. So it's not coming to just, it's like we're either stopping this family from expansion, from growth, or we're stopping them from having food, we're stopping them from having children, we're stopping them from something. So there has to be a particular mandate that says we are doing this and we are stopping them from something, right? So that is what Tokoloshe can do. So it's easy for me to say these are some of the things that aid, but they're not long-term permanent solutions, because also that once it's infested in you, how it's manifested and what is happening and what has started to happen will determine the accurate type of treatment that will deal with it permanently, not just deal with the symptoms. But one of the things, like we know that when we used to grow up, we used to be told that you needed to elevate your bed, the elevation of your bed, put the bricks, because then they can't reach when you are sleeping, they can't come into your bed because they're that short, so it becomes a struggle for them. But basically what it means, it also, if you look at it, it's about making sure that there's enough ventilation in the house, because remember we grew up where we used not, we didn't have electricity, we cooked with a imbawula, we would use coal, and we understand that, coal indoors produces toxins, such as it's monodioxide, yes. So that will become very heavy. So sometimes people say we've seen this, but it could be that they've ingested those toxins and then they will struggle to breathe because it's not clean air. But ventilation spiritually it's important, because when air can circulate, spirit can flow easily, because with any dark energy spirits, they need you enclosed and entrapped. So because that's when they can first in, because in their enclosure and entrapped, darkness operates better where there's that space. So when air and oxygen is coming in, it does not have ground and it's unable to be solid when it's trying to do its things. Because when air comes in and purifies, air, detoxifies the space, and would also be able to use coarse salt. And because coarse salt is, is from the sea, and we know that in oceans are spaces of purity, and that things, even people who do these things, won't enter deep into ocean waters, especially ocean waters that have, the guidance of them, because it will get rid of you, because salt on its own, it's very detoxifying. So that's the two spirits. So let me pause, because we passed 30 minutes, and take questions, and then some of the questions, then I will build on some of the things that I've said. So I think I did answer your question, Ponyana, about how do you reverse it. So you first need to be able to consult, so you could see how long that has been with you, and sometimes the longer it stays, the harder it is to take it back and reverse it. So this is why I'm saying be careful who you give of yourself to, because some people are not who you know them to be. You know what they show you, but you don't know their true them. Because sometimes we get attracted to things because these are what we want in people. I want a man who can do this and I do that. How did they get there? How did they get there? And this is not only in our communities, it happens across board. It doesn't, people have it irrespective of who they are. It's not because this is a black people's things. No, everyone. Darkness is not exclusive to blackness. It's not like black people are the only ones who dive into the dark world. Human beings who are soulless can be demonic. Tasha Malinga, thank you so much. Thank you for the contribution. Really appreciate it. It goes a long way. It makes sense. So tribe, I'm opening up for questions, because remember I end the stream at 9. So this is a time for you to then start asking me questions. So I've seen okay, I think we have a question here. I just want to tell you, we were blessed to have a teacher like you. I'd like to come to your church, but I don't know, I have the directions. Please go to Google and just put Ndanzi Institute of Spiritual Healing. The GPS coordinates are there. Yeah, then you can come to church. So I thought it was a question. Sorry, tribe. I looked at it and I put it up thinking it's a question, but we are open for questions. So the purpose of these teachings is not to diagnose you. It's not to treat you, but it's to educate you. So you are aware that if you're experiencing things. So how do you know then that you have had this? You might have had dreams, or you might have forgotten about the dreams. So one of the things with physically, what happens is that you will start to have unexplainable elements that science can explain, that they are not really a calling, but you just constantly get sick, and especially at a particular time or when something. So with women is when they go on a cycle, they will start to have these dreams of, things trying to be intimate with them without their consent. That's one of the most common dreams that women who have been infested with iSilwane will see, right? It will happen around every time around their cycle. Or what you'll also see is that every time you become intimate with a partner, then the relationship just falls apart. It just collapses without any explanation, like to a point where you still doubt yourself, like, is it about my performance? It's not really. It's because they're not only being intimate with you, they're being intimate with something that is blocking them from experiencing the true you. So they're not connecting with you, they're connecting with leso silwane. Yeah, I remember about Pinky Pinky because I was at school at the time. I was in primary school and there was that mischievous things. I mean, there's been lots of these tales. And I want to say, just because you don't believe in it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I never believed in things like this until I experienced them myself. I had. And how it is a spiritual attack is because when you sleep, it happens so suddenly. You wake up to check, you go back to sleep. When a dream continues, you are not dreaming, you are experiencing. Kamaku Koko, I dreamt of aliens this week, Monday morning, and I couldn't hear what they were trying to say. And one started pointing at my right eye. I asked that, okay, so I don't want to get into dreams because then people are gonna say I dreamt of this. No, no, no. But Mamelani, aliens are not necessarily aggregate spirits. Aliens could be, another race from another planet, because we live on Earth, but there are other planets where there are other beings that are occupying it. Remember, what is the common thread between about the siphoning spirits? They are violent, they are aggressive, they are non-consenting. They don't care about what you want. They just want what they want from you. They take, and after they take from you, you will feel it. The next day you wake up, you will feel either something in your genitals will feel like there has been something here. There will be an immediate reaction to the experience. So some people see aliens because they don't come. They themselves are not from. They've lived in other planets before besides this planet. Toza Coco, does it happen that it takes years for someone or a healer to diagnose Isilwane to someone, like to be hidden for a long undiagnosed? Yes, 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 yes. Because some of the people, they do it in such a way that it's not easily picked up. Some people have to go for a few consultations. And remember, some of these are actually done in the family as a curse. So they're not just your neighbor who's jealous about you, or your ex who was just wealthy, rich in the most ridiculous ways. It's done in families as well. There's families who've done this to their daughters because they don't want them to get married. They actually marry them to that thing so that that thing can keep on benefiting the family in whatever way that it was benefiting the family. So these things happen, guys. As cruel and as horrific as it sounds, it's not just outside. Because Tokoloshe normally was used by people outside who were trying to bewitch the family to come take something that's a personal belonging, to take it back there. There's words used, abafana bancane, and all of that. So they're basically thieves. All these spirits are thieves because they just steal. So it's not only just bad and dark, it's criminal. But then how do you prove it in the court of law? It's another story there. Another topic for another day. Okay, you see, that's why I don't want to speak about I don't want to speak about dreams, because I knew people are going to start wanting to get into dreams. Hayi gogo, sisifihla kanjani isilwane emzimbeni womuntu? Okay, so how does this thing hide in the body? Remember, because you also experience it in a dream state, it becomes very difficult for your brain of reason when it wakes up to say, like, was that a dream or was that real? So that's one of the things. It creates a lot of confusion. So some people who have had Isilwane sent to them, and attack them have also lost their minds. We have had people bathi bamfake ilwane, right? And this also happens with people who go and they don't have a gift, and they put things into them to make them feel like manje they are seeing ancestors, but they're not, but he's these ways. So that's another one that, it's like maybe it's a topic of initiation went wrong type of thing. So it hides itself in a way of, as I said, that you'll have unexplainable illnesses, you'll have misfortunes that you can never seem to get rid of. Like every time you have money, it just goes, right? That's why you need to consult, because what I'm saying, it's not a direct interpretation of why you lost your money. I'm just saying, when you can start to feel and sense maybe you've got that, then it's time to see somebody and consult, so you can actually verify. Because also the treatments for treating iSilwane are not the same. I've got 5 types of treatments. So they're not all the same. It depends how the extent, the intensity of it. That will depend what is the treatment plan we need to execute in order for us to cut it. Toza Koko, I suffered for that one for many years with bad smell back. Then I never knew Uguti, why am I always dreaming of having sex with umuntu ingamazi? And what saddens me now is that one day it came as my father and was part of it. I was pregnant and we slept immediately. Then I woke up, Uguti khona into enzekileyo kumntanami. Yo, I'm so sorry. Koko, I'm so sorry. That's horrible. That's horrible. That's really horrible. See, there are people with experiences of these. So just because we don't believe in it, yeah, that's sad. I'm so sorry, Coco. I hope you do find the healing. So you don't only do a physical cleanse, but you have to cleanse from the inside. Togoza Gogo, can iSilwane change someone person to? Yes, it can change the persona of someone. So when somebody is starting to have extreme, aggressive, unacceptable behavior that they've never demonstrated before, I'm not saying that you have not personally seen, because also abusive people hide their behaviors very well, but this is like there's a sudden change in behavior, right? They're not themselves, they're acting to completely out of character. This is somebody who was doing well, and then all of a sudden they just havoc, they just become like basically a useless person. Like, how we are schooling fundile, how is this possible? When you cannot find a rationale, when it's like there's nothing, there's been no death, there's, because we need to be careful, there's not been a death, there's not been a traumatic experience or incident that has driven a person over the edge, then we could look into Guti. Could this person have been spiritually attacked? Tawaza Koko, thank you for the teachings. May I ask the effects of iSilwane to a being? How would it operate to achieve its results? How can it be picked up before the results? But I've already spoken about this mediation. I spoke about it. I've been repeating how you see, so the best way when you start, maybe you need to listen to when I began. The minute you start is to get the help that is required to be able to stop it from its pathway. So there will be different kinds of rituals that will need to be facilitated. I'm not going to say them here because they're not do-it-yourself rituals, but I spoke about some things that you could do, to clear your space, basically, like coarse salt, even putting coarse salt on your bed while you're still figuring out where to go for a consultation. If you're having those dreams, because it will stop that spirit from entering the space. Even elevation of a bed, because that gets oxygen into the room and air circulation into the room. Make sure that where you sleep is not too congested. Declutter as well. That's very useful. Some people will also put the coarse salt on their pillow with with red chili flakes. Those things help. They don't treat iSilwane. They just help, like, and eventually you'll have to do ubethela umuzi wakho. So meaning to do a physical protection where somebody comes and protects the space. Because some of the iSilwane, it's not basically evil aggregate spirits, it's ghosts. So ghosts are those people who have passed on and there was never rituals that were done to help their soul understand that it has no body, it needs to go into crossover. So these are souls that have not crossed over. So this could be like somebody who died in a car accident and they never went and spoke to them to say you're no more. You know, when we drive on roadsides, we'll see flowers, we'll see crosses, we'll see things there. So those things are actually also a representation of somebody has passed on. So there's some ritual. So irrespective of your race or your culture, we all have rituals. We all have things we do when there is situations like that, to make sure that the soul does go on the other side and rest, because it can no longer exist, because the soul needs the body to exist. It's a privilege to listen to you. I came across you on YouTube. Do these entities cause a mental illness? Like, yes. No, yes, it's one of the things, right? Depression, suicidal, it does, but we need to also be careful. We are not just to self-diagnose, right, guys? You still need to do a proper consultation for you to find out what is it you're having, because depression is caused by, life tragedies and life traumas and people who are suicidal. But when this person, there's been multiple interventions and nothing seems to help, then maybe the issue is not just at a physical, mental level, it's at a deeply spiritual level, and you might want to see someone to try see what needs to be done to help the person, or for you to be helped if you are that person. This is really deep, for the fact that it can be mistaken with mental illness, ancestral calling, or not just being able to be diagnosed correctly. It's hectic. Yo, that's how deep it is. That is how deep it is. Oh, Chrisma, I'm so sorry about your sister's passing. Condolences. But Tabi, we're not talking about that kind of iSilwane. So you're asking me, because I'm trying not to go all over the place, guys, because otherwise we're giving room to everyone to be asking questions that are not part of the topic. I still know I need to speak about what do specific animals, insects represent when they appear. What are they? What is a good omen and what is not such a good omen? It's a topic that I will do not now. Yeah. Okay. You said something about smell. My sense of smell is always heightened, but lately I have smell that smells like old blood. I have had someone else smell me and they could not. It okay. So yes, no, you will have an odor that is really unpleasant, and it's not just you are perspiring and it's perspiration, or you've been infected with something, is you've been infested. So you smelling things is not necessarily iSilwane. It could be connected to a spiritual gift that you have a strong ability to smell what others are not smelling, because smell is connecting us to a message. So even when I hear things, when I hear grandmother, then I connect to grandmother what? Then there's a message that comes from the grandmother. I hope that makes sense. Joseph, is it possible if you have iSilwane and can a mother yes, in the utero, yes, yes. Because remember, it's in your system, ne? It's segazini. So, and remember that your child takes in everything that you take. So it is, because also most of these siphoning and aggregate spirits, they're not just to destroy a life, it's to destroy lives. Even generations after you will be trying to heal things. And is that, I'll give you an example. I saw someone yesterday and I said to them, because we've done things and things would open up so greatly, she got a new job, car, all of, and then things stopped again. But when I consulted her, this was her second consultation with me, but she's consulted with two other people at the institute. That's how complex this one is. And when I said no, I said to her, no, you need to come see me again, because this was a second consultation. Said you need to come see me because as a senior consultant at the institute, I'm able to see beyond what is the obvious. And what I picked up was that she comes from a family where they used to sell young women to older men for money, for cattle. And that and she confirmed, like, yes, that is what happened, and that's why her mom ran away. And she said, because, and I said, when that happened, there was a curse that was passed on to the family, that inzalo yalapha angeke ize iphumelele. You understand what I'm saying? So when I'm saying people do things to you, it's not always complete strangers or people you just met and having a thing with. It's also family members who do those things because they don't. And that's why I'm very cautious about certain relationships, even polygamy, that we have lost the value and the principles of polygamy, and it has opened people to do the most desperate acts to try keep what they feel is theirs. Let's leave it there without going far. I personally believe that I'm protected and safe. Great for you that you're protected and guarded. That's very important to believe that, right? But like I say, just because we don't believe in things doesn't mean they don't get to us. Because these spirit operate best when we are at our low, right? Whether you just lost a job, or you are feeling down, or you're not at your most happiest, or you're feeling stressed out. That's when, because when we are sitting, especially negative emotions are part of, it's natural, feeling angry. But if you are harboring the anger and you are feeling resentment, or you are grieving for longer than, or you are in a state of distress for too long, that already vibrates, it lowers your vibration. The lower your vibration, the more your portal is vulnerable to attacks. Sleepwalking and iSilwane, there is a connection to Agrico. I've touched on two, but there's different types of other spirits, like the ones that will wake you up and tell you to go somewhere. But also, that's very common for people who have not done rites of passages, or their family has not initiated them into certain rites of passages, like ubigwa, uguluka. So that's also common, a common symptom, Charles. There, it's also very common for people who are gifted, because then they're actually being called. But when they completely are like a zombie state, and they have no sense of what happened, then that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay, let me go to Lungi. Lungi says, can one lose their job because of iSilwane, or it can only be Scrito? It can be both. Go look at the video I've done, because Scrito is a different spiritual attack to iSilwane. And this is, you have an infestation of an entity, an animalistic parasite feasting of your life. Whereas this creature, is they send it something, to destroy and discard. They can use iSilwane to send you iSilwane, but when you have a full iSilwane, it's eating on you all the time. All the time. Hope you got that. To anyone here, does Gogo contact? Yes, I do visual consultations outside of Gauteng, SA, of course. Actually, today, all of my consultations were international. So I do international visual consultations because of the people who are outside the continent. I mean, I consulted someone in Botswana, someone in the US, and another one was in Ireland. So I do consult people outside of. It does say, even when you go on the website, it'll tell you visual consultations, and you'll see me. So do not be robbed, because I know there are people here ready to scam you. When I'm a Kuman, who'll be like, I'm Coco Dineo. No, you will have to contact us. So I won't send you a DM telling you how that works. If you go to our website, cocodinoandtlanzi.com, or the WhatsApp number where I think one of the tribe members will put it, I'll put it here as I wrap up the conversation, so you could see, for those who do want to consult. Thokoza Kokondlanzi, ngiyabona, ngiyabonga. I don't know if it's ngiyabona. I am so invested in today's topic. Siyabonga Mfundli. Coco, is there an expiry date for iSilwane or isichitho? When you are no more, now you expire. Visual, okay. Oh, sorry, I'm picking up on. Yeah, no, it does. So, guys, let me wrap up this conversation and say to you, Guti, things do happen whether we want to believe in them, whether it's things we grew up with or we were raised with. Things do happen. So, it is important for you to protect yourself physically and spiritually. And I like what I forgot who said I pray. That really brings spiritual protection. But because these things do attack, they enter, they infest and inject themselves through physical contact. So physical protection, ngesiZulu sithi ukuqiniswa, and then ngesotho rekhutiswa. So this is protection. You physically have to be protected as well, besides the spiritual protection and the prayer and all of that. So all of it is important. So even with people who have had iSilwane or these attacks for long, we do some, emotional and psychological work, because even when I help spiritually, physically and stuff, I mean, there's people who they've seen immediate results, but because they are so fearful, because these spiritual attacks is to have you be paralyzed by fear. They are so fearful that even when there's not an attack, they will feel like there's something, and that something is a nothing. So emotionally and spiritually and mentally, you need a cleansing. So meaning rewire the thought patterns that have actually allowed you to believe such about yourself, like when you are a playground for every mtagati in the area. No, yeah, definitely you need more than prayer. You need more than prayer, you need more than faith, you need action. But prayer is also very powerful, but it's powerful within a context of what you are dealing with. Because remember, when they siphon, they also deplete you into going into prayer. So you might not be praying, as in I am engaging here with God. I might be like, oh, just help me, right? Because they deplete you. They deplete you. So also when you have unexplainable lethargia, like you're so lethargic all the time, like, oh, no matter what, I still want to go to bed. I'm so tired. These things, I'm just giving you signs. I'm not saying when you are lethargic, you've got a swan. I'm not saying when you're having sexual dreams, you've got a swan. It's not these things, they are not in isolation. We need to look at them as a collective and how they interconnect and interplay and intersect before we can tell what it is that is going on with you. That's important. It's the same way when we say people are spiritually gifted, we look at the interrelation, intersecting of the symptoms to tell what it is and what it's not. Hey, Matepo, welcome. I hope, guys, you learned a lot. You're still welcome to share your topic ideas when you send me a DM on Instagram. Uh, it's not a Q&A, it's not a dream interpretation. I'm going to write for you, Tasha, here, because you requested, and everybody was asking. Uh, just You can book online, right? On Because you can book online and make your booking and payment online, or you can WhatsApp this number. You are not talking to me, beloved. You're talking to my assistant. I don't do the administrative part of things. I just do the consultation and I manage that. So I'm sending this, yeah, so that you can get the details if you need them. Here's the name of the site. It's kokodinawanhlanzi.com. I'm glad Sasha says he had a consultation with Mkulu and he was very good. I'm happy you are happy with that. And Mkulu is also very thorough and patient. I'm sure, Tasha, hey? Mkulu is very patient and loves explaining, and he's such a counselor. He's such a great, brilliant listener. That's Mkulum Kasha, by the way, who we're speaking about. I'm glad that you had a consultation with him. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. It looks like we went down on Facebook because I couldn't post this on Facebook. Really appreciate it. See you next week, same time, but we'll see you on you for those who are on Instagram. This is where you have a Q&A. So those who are asking me about their dreams and if they have something or what is this, you can really follow me on Instagram. And when I go live, there's a space for Q&A. You can make a video request where we can have an interaction like this. So yeah, that's that. Here we're just focusing on a specific topic. Thank you so much, guys. Good night.